Welcome back to our special session, Symbolic Expressions with Manisha Sharma. This topic was Gandhian thoughts and sustainability. In the earlier part, we have seen the applications of Gandhian thoughts in economics as well as sustainability. So the same concepts we are going to now apply on climate change, issues of climate change in the present world, which is the major global challenge, energy transition, energy security, sustainability, and those concepts you will see how they are relevant in resolving all the challenges of the current world. Objective will be overviewing these concepts of climate change, global warming, greenhouse gases, energy transition, and their interlinkages. To comprehend the role of energy in the economic development, to understand the notion of energy transition and energy security, which is the key issue in the current world. And finally, to understand the applicability of Gandhian philosophy to unfold these challenges of energy transition and sustainability. Now, to begin with the concept of global warming is the increase in the average global temperature as a result of emissions from the human activities. A basic warming effect will produce a complex impact on the climate patterns, with warming in some areas and cooling in the other areas, and increase climate variability and extreme weather events. This is what climate change is. The IPCC, which is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, clearly attributes the majority of recently observed global climate change to the human-made greenhouse gas emissions. It means there is something wrong with the human activities. There is something majorly wrong the way we are living our lives. Human life needs to undergo a change. Changes in the global climate includes temperature, precipitation, storms, frequency, intensity, and changes in the climate and the water cycle, carbon and the water cycle. Recent decades, we have seen the concern has grown. The issue of climate change has really caused a major concern, increased accumulation of greenhouse gases. Now, it has been predicted that there is going to be a global temperature rise in the annual average temperature, which is going to reach 1.5 degrees centigrade above the pre-industrial level rise. So it means it is all attributed the way we are living our lives. Since the pre-industrial period, human activities are estimated to have increased Earth's global average temperature. In June 2022, few months back only, you would have seen that the world has witnessed number of unexpected environmental development disasters, including heavy rains, floods in Bosnia and Herzegovina, then Pakistan and China, deadly landslides in Bangladesh and India, wildfires in Afghanistan and Turkey, as well as extreme heat in US and Spain, dust storms in Iraq. Now, these are all accounted of carbon dioxide, methane emissions, which have gone and trapped the solar radiation. IPCC projects that in 2100, the rise of temperature is going to be between 1.5 to 4.8 degrees centigrade. Ever since the climate change has appeared as a center stage of all global challenges, the notion of sustainable development and clean and renewable energy transition has become the main focus of all the countries. SDG have been introduced, and India is also heading towards the performance of sustainability targets, which are 17 goals and 169 other targets. Some of these targets include gender equality, eliminating poverty, zero hunger, and ensuring a good health and well-being among everyone. Developing countries are trapped trapped because of multitude of socio-economic bottlenecks such as unemployment, inflation, lack of capital. Therefore, to undergo these targets and to undergo energy transition to renewable and achieve these clean energy targets is next to impossible for a developing country like India, and there are others also. So it's very critical to examine the sustainable growth in a way that is attainable. Now, to understand the basic concept that how energy and economic development are linked to each other, then only one can resolve the issue. Now, what is the role of energy in economic development? With economic growth, India's energy consumption has doubled since 2000 and is expected to even double by 2040. It is the second largest consumer of oil, coupled with the need for economic growth, and it makes India highly import dependent. So, but the greatest controversy is that India is the third largest market for the gross electricity generation, but it has 400 million population in India, that is around 47.5% of those living in the rural areas, and they have no access to electricity. So the issue is, on one side we need electricity, on the other side there's the major chunk of population is without electricity. So accessibility, affordability, these are the challenges for energy. Further, playing a leadership role in global climate change, UNFCCC, India has laid down target of 100 gigawatt installed solar energy capacity by 2022. At the same time, it is aiming at 14 gigawatt coal plant and committed to sell electric cars by 2030. All above these targets mentioned, they need a surety or security of energy transition towards renewable energy, and in an which is an inevitable task. With climate change emerging as a greatest challenge, energy transition becomes the core area of concern for all developed and developing countries. India is heading towards a leadership role of climate change governance at G20. We have seen it in G20 and COP23 forums of UNFCCC. Energy security is a concept one should understand, which has a dimension which can be broadly categorized under 4 broad categories. It is defined as adequate, affordable, and reliable access to energy fuels and services. It includes the availability of resources, decreasing dependency on imports, and decreasing pressure on the environment. So one can see so many versions and dimensions are there for attaining energy security. It's just not the availability of energy. It is more to that. It is accessibility, affordability, availability, and acceptability. So there are 4 basic dimensions to energy security. It is considered as 4A definition of energy. So there are certain issues related to energy security. The Paris Agreement makes it obligatory for the countries to adopt renewable energy systems. Once it is obligatory, it means that one needs to comply with energy security and renewable energy norms. Lack of capital, research and development in the developing countries, they fall short of indigenous renewable resource technologies. Therefore, they need to rely on developed nations or Western world. This makes them more and more energy dependent again. They were already dependent on energy on the Western world. Now because of transition, in future they are going to be more dependent on because of lack of technology. Now in the chart you can see on your screens that there is a chart which tells you that how the nexus of climate change, energy, sustainability and economic growth works. You can see that in order to develop, all developing countries need to grow because they are in the process of economic growth and they need to grow. To grow, energy makes the prerequisite condition. Now, to be energy surplus or energy sufficient, you need to be energy secure. And energy security brings about 4 dimensions. As I told you, 4A concept of energy security. You have to have affordable energy, acceptable energy, available energy, and affordability, acceptability. All the 4 concepts should be there. Once you are energy secure, if this security pertains to the conventional form of energy, then it leads to more and more of use of energy, leads to carbon emissions. Carbon emissions will further add to the climate change, and climate change will further lead to disruptions like floods, hurricanes and precipitation, drought somewhere, okay, and then it finally affects your economic growth. So this vicious cycle of demand for energy and carbon emissions and climate change and back to loss of economic growth is a vicious cycle which continues. To break this cycle, what do we need? We need to have energy transition, which you can see in this chart. Climate change can be tackled only by energy transition. Energy transition to more cleaner and renewable energy sources. That is possible in 2 methods, in 2 ways. There are 2 basic regimes in which you can visualize energy transition, and that will guarantee you energy security. Energy security, so energy transition will lead to energy security because of one simple important aspect, which is acceptability aspect, which was earlier ignored. The term acceptability tells you that the kind of energy mix you are looking at is environmentally acceptable. It's not that you are just blindly using energy from the resources that is adding more to the carbon emissions, but you are aware and you are conscious about the choice of your energy resource. If it is renewable, it will add lesser to the carbon emission and it is more acceptable environmentally. So this component of acceptability will come from transition only. Therefore, we cannot avoid energy transition. So this energy transition can be visualized either by the centralized method or decentralized method. Energy transition towards renewable is definitely technologically dependent process. Fostering and promoting indigenous technologies will not only generate a non-violent employment-oriented economy, but also construct an energy secure nation. What it means is that a developing country like India, which is looking for transition, should deploy all the local and indigenous resources which are freely available in a community wise. So now we gradually come towards the concept of self-reliant, self-sufficient village economies which are energy sufficient at the same time. So a transition which is more decentralized, which gives more empowerment to the people living in a small community or a village, will be considered much better and more efficient as compared to a centralized transition of energy. Now we will see the fallouts of centralized and decentralized method. Energy transition, when visualized either as a centralized or what kind of drawbacks are there. A decentralized system empowers local communities and regional society, making them self-reliant, independent, and energy secure. However, at the same time, it is more conducive for human resource development, encouraging skill enhancement and promoting R&D and research and development. Gandhian thoughts or Gandhian economics perceives that one must care about the world one will not see. This is a very important line, one must look at it. I am repeating, one must care about the world one will not see. Much before the issue of climate change debate began, Mahatma Gandhi had said that we should act as trustees and use the resources wisely, as it is our moral responsibility to ensure that we bequeath to the future generation a healthy planet. These were the wise words of Gandhi 100 years back, which are now revisited by the whole world. A decentralized setting will provide a non-violent, sustainable aspects of economy by empowering local communities, making them self-sufficient and self-reliant. This results into an economy which is stronger, that is stronger, and it has the potential for growth and equality to the whole society, inclusive society. Also demonstrates, the entire system also demonstrates that the centralized method of provision or governance of energy systems are weak, in the sense that they usually lead to a violent economy. In the last lecture, we just saw that how violence inculcates in the society. It comes through greed, it comes through political economy, it comes through possession and hegemony and the supremacy which is associated with competition. So once we have these elements of greed, competition and concentration of power in the hands of few elite class, that leads to inequality in the economy as well as a failure in the system. So this is all about Gandhian thoughts applied to climate change and sustainability. We will continue in the next lecture. These are few references. Thank you so much for your patience.